Hello and welcome to Boomtown Hoops Live. That's right, we are back, and only an event as big as what we've seen the past couple days could bring us back from our slumber, but we're ready to go. We're ready to talk some trades. We got Cody, we got Jackson, we got Josh. And let's just start with the headliner here. Big news as the trade, window has opened. We have Chris Paul and Abdul Nader traded to Phoenix for Ricky Rubio, Kelly Oubre, Jalen LeCue, and a 2022 first-round pick that is protected. So, pretty big haul for CP3. Exciting stuff. Josh, are you pretty pumped about what we got for Chris Paul?
Yeah, I feel pretty good about it. You got another first-round pick, which gives the Thunder 17 first-round picks before 2027, which is at least some of those got to hit just by luck. Some of those got to hit, so that's always nice. And then some high upside guys. I've watched LeCue highlights today, and I believe in him now. He's only 20 years old, so just hopefully he can develop into something. Definitely a superhuman athlete. If you watch even a 1-minute clip of him, it's not hard to get excited. And then, Ty Jerome, I don't know, maybe he can become something, who knows? And then Kelly Oubre, I don't know, he's only signed for 1 year, but we'll see. He's kind of a fun player to have. Excited to see him if he does take the floor. And then Ricky Rubio, I mean, do we trade him? Do we keep him? I don't really know. But all in all, I'm pleased. I mean, most people would have thought we had to take on another bad contract. We didn't have to do that. Got some young players to be, excited about, and most importantly, another first-round pick. I mean, last year the Rockets traded him to the Thunder and had to be the one giving the picks to just get rid of his contract. Meanwhile, Sam Presti, and we were able to trade him and get more. You know what I mean? So just that alone means it's a good trade. I'm happy with it, and look forward to seeing him on that Suns team.
Absolutely, the difference between now and August is just remarkable. And, that's a credit to Chris Paul himself for working as hard as he did to, rebuild his image a little bit, get back to a form that a lot of people like that, more fits with that massive contract. So, it's just a wonder, a masterpiece out of a deal out of Presti. Cody, who is your favorite, piece in this trade?
I would probably say that my favorite piece is Oubre. I just think he probably has the most upside to either, if we're going to keep him, he's only 24. If it is something that he would, like to play here and maybe potentially sign an extension, fits the timeline pretty well with Bazley, Dort, and Shea. He's a really long wing that can shoot and score in a variety of ways. So, I think that he could potentially fit in. I think more realistically, you're going to see us try and flip him for something, perhaps maybe some draft capital, either to move up in this draft, or maybe, pick up another pick along the way. And then other than that, I think the pick that we got from Phoenix, I think is going to be huge. It's going to guarantee a first-round pick, whether that's the next 3 or 4 years. The protections just slide over. It doesn't roll over into 2 second-round picks, which is what some of the Houston picks that we have do. Very pleased with the deal, and hopefully we can build upon it and see what Wednesday does.
Absolutely. And, it rolls over until I believe 2025 is when it becomes fully unprotected. And who knows, by then that Suns team could look completely different, probably pretty demolished. You never know with this NBA. As we're seeing in Houston, things change very quickly.
Yeah.
All right, Jackson, I want to ask you the same question. What piece are you most excited about in this trade?
I'm actually excited for a few pieces. Anybody in the Boomtown Hoops Discord knows I'm officially the leader of the Ty Jerome fan club in Oklahoma City. So I'm excited for Ty. I think Rubio and I think Oubre are probably going to end up getting traded down the road, whether it be at the deadline. I don't think it'll happen at the draft. I think that's a little bit of a quick turnaround. But I do think sometime down the road, whether it be at the deadline this year or prior to the draft next year, I think one of those two guys, probably both of them, are gone. I think the pick obviously is nice. We have a lot of those. We're not going to use all of them. They're going to get flipped into something else. But I'm excited for Jerome. I think he brings something a little bit different. He's not the athletic guard that we're used to, but he's 6'5". He can shoot the lights out of the ball. He can score in a variety of ways. I think he's a nice player that'll fit as your. I don't think he'd be a sixth man, but I think he's going to be your third guard off the bench. He could reliable with the ball. I think he's somebody that could be a good piece to have going forward.
Yeah, having someone who you can really trust with the ball in his hands, that's always something you need on your bench.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Ty Jerome, that's excellent. Honestly, there's not a single pick or piece I really don't like in this. I think the piece that's probably not long for Oklahoma City's Ricky Rubio, judging by his reaction was, let's just say, salty to say the least.
Look, I'm going to put something out there. I'm not a Ricky Rubio fan. He can win me over. But I've never really been a Ricky Rubio guy, so he can win me over. It can happen. I wasn't a huge Chris Paul guy either. Now I love him, so it can happen. But he's gonna have to earn it. He's gonna have to earn it.
Absolutely, yeah.
After that Jazz series, you can't.
Hey, we kind of hated Chris Paul for a while.
Exactly.
So he warmed. I mean, he's right back into our hearts. We love that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's probably about two guys that I'm a definite no on, but Rubio, hey, I can warm up to him. Nathan 5 has a pretty interesting point about how Rubio might affect Shea's development. If you put the ball in Rubio's hands the whole time, I kind of want to see Shea, start to develop that as well. We saw that in the playoffs, kind of struggled with that. But before we talk about our picks or our pieces a little bit more, let's reflect on Chris Paul. Don't want to just move on from the guy because it was a remarkable season from him. Really just top level stuff, and will have a place in our heart forever. Josh, how are you going to remember Chris Paul's 2019-2020 season?
Boy, I mean, I don't know if it's overstating it, but it really feels like Chris Paul is a Thunder, like a legend, really, a Thunder, in 1 year, which is insane. I guess just being in Oklahoma City when he was so young, and helped bring the Thunder here. And, from the get-go, whenever we traded for him, there was a thought of, are we going to flip him? Will he ever even play for the Thunder? Does he even want to be on the Thunder? Why would he, kind of a thing? And he was all in from the get-go. He set the Thunder up for all this, in Shea's development. He was such an unbelievable leader, and can't say enough about Chris Paul. I never disliked Chris Paul, but he was never a favorite of mine. He wasn't. And this year he just became one. Just seeing him play all the time, it's just impossible not to have respect for him. And wish him a lot of luck in Phoenix, even though we get their pick soon, so don't do too good. But unbelievable what he did here. He'll get the hugest ovation whenever he comes back. It'll be awesome to see. And it's crazy for in 1 year to be that beloved. It really speaks to how great he was here, just both as a player and just as a leader and just all of that. It was awesome having him, and wish him luck.
Yeah, I agree. An absolute Oklahoma City legend from his time in the Hornets. Really, without him, I don't know if this whole thing even happens. The entire city fell in love with him. So, having him be the guy who started all of this, and then, got us, right back on track after losing Westbrook and Paul George and that era ending. I mean, it's just incredible stuff. Cody, what are your how are you going to remember Chris Paul?
I'm going to remember him very fondly. I can remember my first NBA game I went to was actually the year after the Heat won their first title with Dwayne Wade and Shaq. And that's when the Hornets were here. And so after that, I mean, I was a big Chris Paul fan. Up until his stint in Houston, it was a little squirrely there with Harden and how he left with that. Wasn't too happy with us getting him in return for Russell. But now you look fast forward a year. I mean, it's just another fleece job by Presti. You got 2 picks and 2 pick swaps to swap those contracts, and those are 2 of the most untradeable contracts at the time. Then he comes in this year, basically puts his arms around the team, especially Shea and Bazley, and they just made crazy leaps this past year. Shea's averaging almost 20 points a game. Bazley improving, he didn't go to college, so wasn't playing organized basketball for a year, but you could really tell some strides that he made just by having some tutelage under Chris. And then, great package that we got for him. Couldn't be more excited for the future, and hopefully he likes Phoenix, closer to his family, so it definitely works out for all parties.
Absolutely. And, Nate said it was a great trade for both sides as well. I fully agree. Chris wanted a championship contender. Phoenix definitely is a fringe contender now. I would say that
Fringe.
is a fringe. We're talking fringe, especially with whatever is going on in Brooklyn. Golden State's back. That Pacific Division is going to be just war.
And I would say that I think that the Suns roster is probably more set up than ours was, and we got the 5th seed last year. So
absolutely,
it's definitely going to be. I anticipate them being a top 6 seed for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I could buy that.
Yeah, Jackson. Any final thoughts on the point guard in Oklahoma City?
I had more fun watching this year's Thunder team than I have really in a long time. I think just the brand of basketball we played. I mean, we all love Russell Westbrook, but Chris Paul, you just swap those two and it just turns into a completely different team. It's not as frantic. It's more under control, and just the clutchness that he had every fourth quarter, it seemed like this season. We were always in close games, and he just always came through every single time. I don't think you can talk about him in his 1 year in OKC if you don't include the bubble and you don't include all the stuff that he did behind the scenes to make that even happen. I mean, he was great for us. He was great for the league. Like, it was really an honor and a pleasure to have him in Oklahoma City.
Absolutely. Just a top-notch guy, incredible for the community, incredible for the organization. And we all wish him the best of luck, except for when he inevitably tries to pull something like the untucked jersey trick on us. And then we can start being mad at him again.
Yep.
But, all right, let's take a look into the comments section because we got some interesting stuff here. So Carlos Dominguez here says he's excited for Tsunami Poppy. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. Who is Tsunami Poppy?
That's Oubre, right?
That's Oubre?
I'm pretty sure that's Kelly Oubre, yeah.
I am ready to sign that man to a max right now.
I could be wrong. I hate to if I'm wrong right there. I'm pretty sure that's Kelly Oubre, though.
I think it might be. I don't know how I missed that because that is a top NBA nickname right there. I love that. Speaking of Oubre, we now have like an all-time fashion team with him, Baisley, and SGA. Woo! It's just like Westbrook just manifested himself into 3 different players. It's awesome.
Going to be rocking a lot of Converse.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I would love to see Oubre. We'll see what happens. It's, who knows. But I would love to see him. He just signed through the end of this year, I believe. If he, could just play the season and we get to see him and, who knows? Maybe he becomes a part of this, in the future. I don't know. Maybe he's here. You mentioned earlier he's young. Maybe he likes it here. Maybe him and Shea hit it off, and maybe he can be a part of this rebuild. I think we're all hopeful of that. So excited to see him play.
Yeah. And I mean hey, that's great for me. I would be good with that. But if it doesn't work out, that's just cap right off the books. You don't have to worry about it. I think that's another big piece that a lot of people haven't really mentioned in all this is we didn't get a Wiggins contract. We didn't get like this massive albatross back. So I'm pretty thrilled about the cap part of that. Our guy Sean has a couple questions. How are the bars in Brooklyn? Hot basketball question. I don't know, but I just know, hipster beards are a thing there. I just said,
don't let that happen.
Someone might
need that.
Someone might fit there.
We don't need that.
Yeah,
they're gonna get a Baca too. I didn't want to. It's too much.
I don't even. That's just gonna be phenomenally a disaster.
Hard to see.
Yeah, but let's move on to the other trade because Chris Paul obviously huge deal, but we can't forget about the Dennis Schroder move, going to Los Angeles and the Lakers. We just sent him there for the 28th pick. And Danny Green. So a lot of people, I think when the news initially dropped, a lot of people were pretty dismayed about it, thought they could get more. Cody, do you think the Thunder did about as good as they could, or do you think there was still some, maybe some more picks left there?
Yeah, I mean, you got a first-round pick, and then you also get a tradable asset in Danny Green. He's a 3-and-D type of player. He's won 2 straight championships. Obviously wasn't playing very well for the Lakers at the end of the season last year, but he's definitely a guy that can probably rehab his image around the league if we play him some games this year. I fully expect us to trade him at some point, so that's just another asset that you get out of that. And so, yeah, I mean, I think the only other thing that was reported with Schroder was possibly 24 and Eric Bledsoe from the Bucks. And I mean, you're going to be taking on 2 extra years at a higher salary with Bledsoe. So you get an even expiring trade between Schroder and Green. And so either way, money's coming off the books at some point. And so you get a first round pick for that. I mean, I'm happy. Obviously would have wished it was a little bit higher, but I mean, beggars can't be choosers. Presti has, like Josh said, 17 picks in the next 7 drafts. So couldn't ask for much more, honestly.
Yeah, I would definitely describe this trade as still in progress, because we really won't know until like the trade deadline, when expiring 3-and-D guys are just the biggest commodity out there, because any team that's competing will be willing to give up a little bit more, for a guy that they think can push them over the top, win a championship, that sort of deal. Josh, how are you feeling about this trade?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. It's it's always more, gets you more excited when you have a player that you're actually maybe going to use. And Danny Green, maybe trade deadline, but I'd be okay with him never seeing the floor at Chesapeake. Hopefully we can flip him soon. But I mean, getting a first round pick for an expiring contract, that's not bad. And especially considering that we have 2 late first rounders now, it feels like packaging those to move up is the path here to me. And then also they said, here's Danny Green, whatever you can get for him, go for it. And so they'll probably find a way to get another pick out of him, So I'm okay with it. I mean, it's only 1 year of Dennis Schroder. I think that's kind of what gets lost in it, and he's playing very well. He's going to be a nice contract, whenever he's a free agent soon. So, it's hard to get a lot for 1 year, kind of like Jeremy Grant a year ago, very similar, basically the same deal, late first round pick. So, I'm good with it and happy for Dennis. I think this is an awesome opportunity for him, obviously. And, he was a great Thunder player, basically a throw-in, in the Carmelo Anthony deal, just to kind of offset some stuff, and ended up being awesome here. And everybody loved him, and he was a great player. So, happy for him. And he was an awesome Thunder. And I think a pretty solid trade. People expecting more probably had a little unrealistic expectations, I think.
Absolutely. And, I personally was thrilled to get, I was thrilled to get this deal done. And, honestly, especially when you frame it as Dennis Schroder being the greatest salary dump of all time. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
We really need to revisit that Melo trade. What was Atlanta thinking? I get they didn't want him anymore. I get that the salary was a little too high. But what are you doing? I don't know. It's crazy. But
because they just dumped Melo immediately, and they got, I don't know. It's like they literally got nothing out of it.
No, they didn't. It's silly.
They kind of just let Trey kind of do his thing that season, kind of let him develop is kind of what really came out of it.
Which is fair. Jackson, how do you feel about the Dennis deal?
Originally, I feel like a lot of people were like, yeah, you feel like you could get more for him. But when you really get down to it, when you get the first round pick, Dennis is probably too good to be on the team that we're going to have this year, in terms of we're not really looking to compete, it seems like. And when you have somebody like him, with somebody that, the competitiveness, and you put him with Shea, and then, you suddenly have a pretty good team on the floor. I think it helps our draft prospects in the future. And then Danny Green, you can flip him. I agree. I don't really want him to play any minutes for us, but I think he probably does. And then at the deadline, there's going to be, 5 or 6 teams that are looking to compete that want to add that one extra piece. And then you can, get into a little bit of a bidding war there and try to get some more assets there. And I think ultimately it's probably one of the better deals you could get there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just take what you can get for an expiring guy. I like it a lot. And like I said, it's not over yet. Looking to see what we can get for Danny Green. But yeah, great couple years in Oklahoma City for Dennis Schroder. He'll definitely be missed. A fan favorite for sure. All right, before we kind of head out, let's take a look at what we got over the horizon, because if we know anything about Sam Presti, this ain't done yet. There's a lot more to be done. He was getting to work before anything even started. He hit the ground running like about an hour in. So let's talk about who the next domino to fall is. And taking a quick look at our chat, it seems like there's a common thread here. Chad Littlejohn, Steven Adams. Sean wants to know, when's the Steven Adams deal? He can't wait for it. I think there are a lot of Oklahoma City fans who don't really feel the same way. Perhaps Danny Green into a Warriors trade exception moving up. I don't know, guys. Where do you see the Thunder going from here?
I mean, yeah, Steven Adams, I don't know what you can pull for him. His contract's pretty ugly. But I'm not against moving him. I mean, it just seems anybody who's not Shea, Baisley, or Dort is on the table to me. So whatever you can get. I know Presti's, working the phones. A sign and trade from Gallo, you really hope you can pull something like that off. Because obviously, otherwise you're going to lose him for nothing. So that would be really cool. But yeah, I mean, I'm mainly looking at obviously the draft is here next, wondering. It seems like there's just been so many rumblings about Presti and the Thunder moving up, and just how far they move up. Who are they wanting? Like, what is Presti? It seems like he has his eyes set on something. I just don't know what it is. Who is he really eyeballing in the lottery? How high does he feel like he needs to go to get him? So that's kind of, I think that's the next step here. And but yeah, I mean, Steven Adams, Gallo sign and trade. Anybody is on the table except for the young core. Obviously, I think anybody would think that. So looking forward to it. I don't think it's done. We're going to get more stuff here before the season starts in about a month.
Absolutely, Cody. Do you think Presti tries to move up in the draft here?
I do. When you have 17 picks over the next 7 drafts, I mean, if you really want to move up to say top 3 or top 4. If you package 2 or 3 of those to get the guy you want that you think is going to be a franchise cornerstone, I mean, you're that many picks, you're not really wasting much if you think that's the next guy. I think he moves up. I just don't know what it's going to be. There's murmurs of Polkacheski out of Serbia, RJ Hampton, LaMelo Ball has been linked to us as well. So it'll be interesting to see. I think he definitely will try and move up. I just don't know who it's going to be. Other than that, I think as far as moves go, I would expect to see some type of sign and trade with Gallinari. I assume he's going to want to have something, he's going to be wanting to make more than the mid-level exception. And so there's not a lot of good teams with cap space. Ironically, if the Suns would have waited to put this trade through till after the draft, they would have been able to probably bring in Gallinari into their cap space. So that was kind of one that I was kind of curious on why they did it that way, but it's what they did. And so, yeah, and for Adams, I don't know if you're going to be able to really get much value for him, honestly. And I kind of think he's kind of a Thunder guy, so I wouldn't be surprised if he extended Adams to a lower number that's more manageable, just to kind of be the culture guy, the way that Nick Collison was for us in our first run. So.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Burning some of Adams's salary because it is expiring. That's a plus. That's good. We can get that off our books just right now. We have to spend that money anyways. So maybe that's a renegotiation sort of thing. I'm all for it. Sean is very done with Adams. He'd extend him to the Cox Center. I'd go to a couple Blue games if it was Steven Adams just going Shaq on everyone. That would be pretty fun.
Adams 40-point games.
Exactly. I want that. Get out of here, Google. Anyways, Jackson. Yeah, they're trying to. Google's trying to weigh in here. Jackson, what do you want to see Presti do? Let's just say you got those tortoiseshell rim glasses on. You are Sam Presti tomorrow. What do you start doing?
I'm glad I'm not. I've spent some time looking at this draft, and there's going to be some players in there. There always is. But I don't know that there's something really worth trading up for. I think if, he has a guy he's interested in, you could package, 25 and 28, move up a little bit, but that's not going to get you, if it gets you into the lottery, it's not getting you past probably 13 or 14. I think there's potential there for that. But also I could definitely see him, moving some picks around this year and trying to get more for next year in a draft that looks like it's going to be a little bit better. I don't think we're going to do a lot in free agency. The Gallinari thing is what I'm looking at. Is it going to be a sign and trade, or is he just going to move on? But the draft is a question for me. Are we going to go, draft 25, in that similar area where we always do, and draft an athletic guy who is a little bit less skilled but has potential, or are we going to, package him? So I'm interested to see what he does. I'm glad I'm not him, is what I've got.
Absolutely. I'm not big on this draft, and that's one of the reasons why I was so excited about the Suns deal is not getting the 10th pick, instead going for a later pick, because it's kind of not a great draft. I wouldn't want to try to figure it out either. But yeah, so let's before we leave, let's take a look at a couple of the comments. So yeah, Sam Presti does note that we did have to send out a first round pick taking on Melo. It is protected though.
Yeah, lottery protected.
It is lottery protected, so it would.
Well, we finna be in the lottery, so I'll take that.
It'll be 2 second rounds.
Yeah, and I'm very okay with sending 2 second rounds out. But you're right, it was not for nothing, but could be for basically next to nothing. And then Thunder Thought over here, do we try to get Russ back? Breathe for yes, delete Boomtown's Twitter for no. I guess we're trying to get Russ back, but if it's a different, just not under that contract, I'd love to see him back.
We'll take him back for a few more first round picks, and they can have, I don't know, Gallinari.
Take those protections off.
Yeah, yeah. Have him go old man like Dwayne Wade. You know, when he returned back to Miami, mentored the guys, that sort of thing. But
how glad are we that we're not the Rockets right now?
Oh, yay. How the turntables!
Disaster.
Jeez, it's so nice to not be the team melting down for once. Honestly.
Yeah. Good point by Sean, by the way. We did get Russ back. We got LeQ. He's the new Russ. So
yeah. It's like how the Planters Peanut guy. You know, we lost our Planters Peanut guy, but he came back as Baby Russ. That's fine. But anyways, any final thoughts before we log off? Call it a good night and move on to our next jaw-dropping Sam Presti move. Josh, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, just good to be close to back to the season. You know, this was such a weird, since the bubble ended, there was so much, we have no idea when they're coming back. And it was, just kept feeling like it was pushed further and further. So nice that it's the 22nd draft this week, getting to actually have some stuff. I feel like I got a coach, in Daignault. I think that's how you say it, Daignault. So excited for him. I'm all in on him now. And the new Thunder uniforms are kind of iffy, but I didn't want to waste them in a good year. So just excited to be back and so close. Just we've got to dust off the Thunder hat and the Thunder gear and stuff and get ready to get this thing back going. I'm so excited to see this team play. No matter what, excited to see him. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because hey, this team, like Sam Presti said last time, replenish, reposition. This could just be another replenishing because it's still a pretty solid roster. Cody, your any final thoughts before we bounce?
Yeah, just ready for this draft on Wednesday, and it's going to be a very busy week, so make sure and keep a lookout for anything that we might be doing. Season starts, like you guys said, in less than a month, so it's going to be action-packed and it's going to be fast-paced, so make sure you guys are following Boomtown Hoops. Maybe hop in the Boomtown Hoops Discord. It's always a good time in there. It's starting to kind of fire off a little bit more now that these like you guys said, we got a new coach, got some trades, drafts coming up, free agency. So a lot of content to cover. No better place to be than the Boomtown Hoops Discord.
Yeah, it's always a good conversation in there, always lively. Great time. So for sure, check that out. You can find the links everywhere we have our stuff out there. But Jackson, close us out. Anything you got to say?
I'm excited for this year. I don't think we're going to be good enough to compete in any real way for the playoffs, but I think we've ended up just falling into the luckiest position ever because I think we're going to have an exciting team that's going to play, they're going to show their potential and we're going to be excited for the future, but also there's 12 or 13 teams in the West that think they're going to make the playoffs this year. So I think it's going to be a really, really tight race for that 7 and 8 spot and for those playing games. And we're just going to kind of scrape along the bottom and we're going to, not have the competition for those lower picks. And then next year when the time comes, we may be drafting, top 5, top 6. We pick up a good player there and then we're building for the future again. We flip these picks. I think we're just in a really, really good spot right now. And I'm excited to see what the future holds.
Absolutely. What I got to say, it's kind of, I get it's kind of bittersweet as a Thunder fan to lose Chris Paul, lose everyone, but this organization is heading in the right direction. And, just live it up, have a good time because again, could be worse. You could be the Rockets, which we are.
Yeah,
Very thankfully not. So, all right. For me, Cody, Jackson, and Josh, thank you so much for listening. We will have more content as everything goes on. So follow us and we'll keep you informed. So till next time, Thunder up.